When you walk into a room, before you even say a single word, someone has already made up their mind about you. Not in a shallow, judgmental way, but in the quiet, instinctive way human beings are wired. We notice, we sense, we pick up signals without even realizing it. And here's the truth that most women never hear. High-quality men, the kind of men who value depth, integrity, and substance, are not looking at what you think they are.
They're not counting the number of inches in your waistline.
Or measuring the length of your eyelashes. They're not ranking your outfit against the latest Instagram trends. Those things might turn heads for a moment, but they don't make someone stop and truly see you. The men who are secure in themselves, who have built their lives with purpose, who aren't chasing just anyone, they're tuned into something far deeper. What's fascinating is that most women assume they can win over a high-caliber man by out-beautifying the next woman, but beauty is the easiest thing in the world to notice. It takes no effort, no discernment, and it fades into the background fast if there's nothing beneath it. What these men are really looking for is the one thing you can't fake for long. The essence of who you are, and the irony, you don't even have to try to give it to them. In fact, the more you try to perform, to impress, to present a version of yourself that you think will attract them, the faster they lose interest. Because high-quality men can smell inauthenticity the way you can smell smoke from a fire. They know when someone is wearing a mask. They know when the charm is rehearsed. So here's the question that will change the way you think about relationships forever. If a high-quality man isn't looking at your looks first, then what is he looking at? What is the very first thing that catches his attention? The thing that makes him decide whether to step closer or step away? I'll tell you this, it's not obvious, and that's exactly why so many people miss it. It's hidden in the way you walk into a room, in how you hold yourself, in the smallest, most unintentional actions you take. It's in your energy, your self-respect, your interaction with the world. It's in the quiet power you carry without even trying to put it on display. And if you can master these subtle but powerful traits, without pretending, without overcompensating, without performing, you will naturally stand out in a way that no makeup, no dress, and no Instagram filter ever could. Because in a world full of noise and distraction, authenticity is magnetic. Now, let's pull back the curtain on exactly what those things are, and once you hear them, you'll never look at first impressions the same way again. Before a single word leaves your mouth, before anyone even knows your name, the very first thing they feel from you is your energy. It's invisible, yet impossible to ignore. It's the unspoken language that speaks louder than your outfit, your hair, or your physical features. The truth is, people, especially high-quality men, sense who you are long before they consciously notice what you look like. That initial instinctive impression is shaped by the way you carry yourself, the air you bring into the space, and the emotional frequency you project without even realizing it. You've probably met someone who walks into a room and instantly changes its atmosphere. Sometimes it's in a way that makes everyone's shoulders drop, conversations lighten, faces warm up. Other times it's in a way that makes the air feel tense and heavy. That's energy. It doesn't lie. You can't buy it, you can't Photoshop it, and you can't mask it with surface-level charm for very long. This is why the most discerning men, the ones who have experienced enough of life to know what truly matters, are tuned into it first. High-quality men have learned to protect their own peace. They aren't interested in someone who radiates constant drama, insecurity, or bitterness, no matter how attractive she might be on the outside. They can feel when someone is anxious and trying to please, or when someone is grounded and secure in themselves. They sense whether you're carrying joy, resentment, confidence, or self-doubt. It's in your posture, your facial expressions, the way you make eye contact, the way you occupy your space without shrinking or demanding attention. This is why energy comes before appearance. Your physical beauty might get you a glance, but your energy determines whether someone leans in closer or takes a step back. A high-quality man will notice if your presence feels like sunlight or like a storm cloud. And here's the beautiful part. Your energy is entirely within your control. You might not have been born with a certain face or body type, but your energy is a reflection of your mindset, your emotional health, and the way you choose to engage with the world. If you walk into a room thinking, I hope they like me, you're already putting yourself in a position of seeking approval. That energy feels needy and it creates a power imbalance before you've even spoken. But if you walk in thinking, I'm happy to be here, I'm confident in who I am, and I'm open to connecting, you radiate an entirely different frequency. You're not chasing validation, you're offering presence. And that's magnetic. Consider the difference between two women entering the same event. The first one arrives tense, constantly adjusting her dress, scanning the room to see who's watching her. She's so focused on controlling how she's perceived that she can't relax into the moment. The second woman walks in with ease. She's not overthinking her every move. She's engaged in the conversation she's having. She smiles when her eyes meet someone else's, and she's genuinely curious about the people around her. Who do you think a high-quality man will notice first? Not because of clothing or makeup, but because of the way her energy feels. The truth is, your energy tells your story before your words do. If you've invested in yourself, your self-worth, your boundaries, your personal growth, it shows. You stand taller, you breathe more easily, and your presence feels stable and warm. If you've been neglecting yourself, letting resentment build, or living in constant comparison to others, that shows too. Energy can't be faked for long. You might pull it off for an hour, maybe even a day, but eventually the real frequency of your inner world will seep through. This is why personal alignment matters. When your actions, values, and self-image are in harmony, your energy naturally feels inviting and confident. You don't have to force charm or work to impress anyone. People can feel when someone is truly at peace with themselves. It creates a sense of trust and respect without you having to demand it. For a high-quality man, this kind of energy is everything. He's looking for someone whose presence enhances his life, not drains it. Someone who can handle life's challenges without letting bitterness become her personality. Someone who can walk into a room and make it feel lighter, not heavier. Your appearance might be what catches the eye, but your energy is what keeps it there or turns it away. So the question becomes, what energy are you walking into rooms with? Is it rushed, guarded, self-conscious, or is it calm, open, and grounded? The more you work on yourself internally, through self-awareness, emotional regulation, and living with intention, the more your energy shifts in a way that people notice instantly. Here's the powerful part. When you carry the right energy, you don't have to compete. You don't have to be the loudest, the most glamorous, or the most perfect. Your presence will quietly command attention because it feels rare. In a world where so many people are stressed, reactive, and distracted, the person who radiates calm confidence stands out like a lighthouse in the dark. And that's what high-quality men are drawn to. Not because it's flashy, but because it's real. When you understand this, you stop obsessing over whether your eyeliner is sharp enough or your hair is in place. You start focusing on the things that actually matter. Your inner state, your self-respect, and the energy you bring into every space you enter. Because while beauty might turn a head, it's your energy that will make someone truly remember you. Before a man of truly high quality ever looks at how you treat him, he's already observing how you treat yourself. This is one of the most underrated truths about attraction. The respect you command from others begins with the respect you give yourself. If you walk into a room with your shoulders slouched, your words full of self-deprecation, and your actions signaling that you don't believe you are worthy, you will be teaching others exactly how to treat you. On the other hand, if you carry yourself like someone whose time is valuable, whose energy is sacred, and whose standards are non-negotiable, you create an unspoken atmosphere that draws people, especially high-quality men, toward you. How you treat yourself is reflected in every single choice you make. It's in the way you dress, not because clothes define you, but because the care you take in presenting yourself shows you value your image. It's in the boundaries you set, not because you want to push people away, but because you know that not everyone gets equal access to your time, your emotions, or your energy. A woman who treats herself well isn't careless with her commitments. She doesn't overextend herself just to please others. She knows that saying no is not rejection, it's self-respect. High-quality men notice the little details. They notice if you speak about yourself with confidence or with insecurity disguised as humor. They notice if you maintain your health, not from a place of vanity, but from discipline and self-care. They notice whether you are driven whether you nurture your mind, whether you make decisions that reflect long-term thinking instead of chasing quick comfort. A man of substance will recognize if you're living as the main character in your own life, or if you've made yourself a background role in someone else's. Think about it, if you constantly put yourself last, how would anyone else see you as a priority? If you tolerate disrespect, accept crumbs, and justify bad behavior from people around you, you send a silent message. I accept this, so it's okay to keep giving me less. And a man who truly values women will not be inspired to invest his time and energy into someone who doesn't invest in herself. Why? Because he knows that healthy relationships are built on mutual respect, and that starts with self-respect. The way you treat yourself also dictates your energy in relationships. If you are constantly drained because you overgive without replenishing yourself, you'll enter every interaction feeling depleted, resentful, or needy. But when you prioritize your own needs, you show up whole, you give from a place of abundance, not desperation. You offer kindness and love because you want to, not because you're hoping to get validation in return. This is magnetic. High-quality men are drawn to women who have their own source of joy and strength, not someone who's waiting for a relationship to complete her. It's important to remember that self-respect doesn't mean arrogance. It doesn't mean you think you're better than anyone else. It means you value yourself enough not to settle for less than you deserve. You can be humble and still have high standards. In fact, the combination of grace and firmness is one of the most attractive qualities you can have. High-quality men notice a woman who can be kind without being a pushover, who can be understanding without tolerating nonsense. When you treat yourself well, you also create a filter for the kind of men who approach you. Those who are intimidated by your self-worth will naturally fall away, and those who respect it will step forward. This isn't about playing games or acting unavailable. It's about living your life with such clarity and self-value that you naturally repel those who don't match it. And here's the truth. The right man will see your self-respect as an asset, not a threat. He'll admire it because it tells him you have the emotional maturity to build something meaningful. So start asking yourself, what would a woman who deeply respects herself do? Would she answer that late-night text from someone who only remembers her when it's convenient? Would she let someone speak to her with disrespect without addressing it? Would she sacrifice her health, her dreams, or her happiness just to keep someone else comfortable? The answer is no. She knows that how she treats herself sets the tone for every interaction she has. The bottom line is this: you teach the world how to treat you. And the way you do that is by showing, not telling, that you are worth respect, care, and kindness. High-quality men notice this immediately because they live by the same principle. They respect themselves, they have boundaries, and they seek a partner who mirrors that energy. If you want to attract the kind of man who will value you, you must first value yourself so deeply that it becomes impossible for anyone not to see it. Before a man of high quality ever notices what you're wearing, before he ever thinks about the shape of your face or the style of your hair, he's going to notice something far more telling: how you engage with the world around you. Think about this for a second. You could be the most stunning person in the room, but if the way you interact with people is dismissive, closed off, or unkind, it's going to overshadow everything else. People remember how you made them feel before they remember what you looked like. A high-quality man doesn't just notice your beauty, he notices your energy, emotion, how you treat strangers, how you respond to challenges, how you carry yourself in spaces where no one is directly watching you. For example, imagine you're out at dinner with friends. The waiter makes a small mistake with your order. Do you roll your eyes, sigh loudly, or make a sarcastic remark? Or do you respond with patience, understanding, and maybe even a little humor? That one small moment speaks volumes about your character. To a high-quality man, it shows your emotional intelligence, your self-control, and your perspective on life. High-quality men are observers. They notice the way you treat the receptionist at the hotel, the person cleaning the floor, or the stranger holding the door for you. Do you acknowledge them? Do you smile? Do you say thank you and mean it? These micro-interactions tell him more about your soul than an entire photo shoot ever could. They also notice your curiosity about the world. Are you the kind of woman who asks questions, who listens more than she speaks, who actually seeks to understand? Or are you constantly distracted, scrolling through your phone, disengaged from what's happening right in front of you? Engagement is not about being the loudest in the room. It's about being present, being invested in the moment. And presence is magnetic. It's the woman who is actually there, in mind, body, and spirit, that draws people in. She's the one who notices the details, who remembers someone's name, who asks about the thing they mentioned last week. That's the kind of connection that sticks. A high-quality man also pays attention to how you carry yourself in social settings. Do you constantly try to one-up others, turn conversations back to yourself, or dominate every discussion? Or do you create space for other people's stories to be heard? Do you celebrate someone else's win without feeling threatened? Another subtle but powerful thing they notice is how you handle discomfort. Maybe you're at a networking event where you don't know many people. Do you shrink back, glued to the corner, avoiding eye contact? Or do you approach someone, introduce yourself, and find a way to connect? It's not about being naturally outgoing. It's about showing resilience and openness in moments when it would be easier to retreat. Engaging with the world also means engaging with life's challenges. If something goes wrong, the flight gets delayed, the plan changes last minute, how do you react? Do you crumble into frustration, or do you adapt with grace? A high-quality man knows that life is full of unexpected turns, and the way you handle them says everything about your ability to thrive alongside him. Even your relationship with your surroundings tells a story. Do you respect public spaces, treat shared environments with care, and leave things better than you found them? Do you show gratitude for opportunities and experiences rather than taking them for granted? This might seem small, but it reflects a deeper truth. You're aware that the world doesn't revolve around you, and that humility is rare and beautiful. And let's talk about enthusiasm. It's contagious. A woman who engages with the world with genuine enthusiasm, who lights up when she talks about her passions, who takes interest in what others love, who embraces new experiences, stands out instantly. That energy communicates that you're not just existing, you're living. Ultimately, how you engage with the world shows whether you are a giver or a taker, whether you're the kind of person who adds value to a room or drains it. High-quality men aren't looking for someone who needs to be constantly entertained or validated. They're looking for someone who is already engaged with life, someone who meets the world with open eyes and an open heart. It's not about perfection. It's about authenticity, kindness, curiosity, and presence. That's the kind of engagement that makes a man stop, watch, and think, this woman is different. Because while beauty might catch his attention, the way you engage with the world will make him never want to look away. When you speak, your words are not just sound. They are signals. They tell people who you are, how you think, and how deeply you see the world. High-quality men are not impressed by surface-level chatter or the ability to talk endlessly without saying anything. What they notice immediately is the depth of your conversation, not in the sense of using big words or pretending to be philosophical, but in how you approach a discussion. Do you simply repeat what you've heard, or do you contribute something that shows you've thought, felt, and truly lived? A conversation with depth doesn't have to be heavy. It's not always about debating politics or unraveling the mysteries of the universe. Sometimes it's as simple as being fully present in what's being said and responding in a way that makes the other person stop and think. Shallow conversation bounces on the surface. It's predictable, forgettable. Deep conversation, on the other hand, leaves a mark. It lingers in their mind, long after the words have been spoken. Here's the thing, depth comes from within. If you're constantly feeding your mind with fluff, gossip, and the same recycled social media sound bites, then when you meet someone, you'll have little more to offer than what's trending today. But if you spend time reading, learning, observing, reflecting, you bring a different energy. You become someone who can connect ideas, share unique perspectives, and ask questions that make others stop mid-thought because they realize this person actually thinks. High-quality men notice when you can hold space in a conversation without turning it into a performance. They don't need you to talk over them or dominate the discussion. They notice your ability to listen, to absorb, to respond with thoughtfulness. This is powerful because in a world where everyone is fighting to be heard, the person who listens deeply and responds with intention stands out. And here's where many women go wrong. They confuse depth with oversharing. Depth is not dumping your entire life story on someone the first time you meet them. That's emotional exposure without foundation. Depth is revealing enough of your mind and soul to intrigue, to inspire curiosity, but not so much that you lose your mystery. You can share a personal story, yes, but it's the lesson, the insight, the reflection behind that story that makes it deep. Ask yourself, are you speaking to be liked or speaking to be understood? There's a difference. Speaking to be liked often leads to people-pleasing, saying what you think they want to hear, or keeping everything light and safe, so you don't risk rejection. Speaking to be understood means you have the courage to share what you really think and feel, even if it's not the popular opinion. It's not about being controversial. It's about being authentic. High-quality men are drawn to authenticity like a magnet. They've likely been through enough life to know that charm can be faked, appearance can be polished, but genuine presence and a well-developed mind cannot be manufactured overnight. When you can have a conversation that touches on dreams, fears, challenges, ambitions without it feeling forced, you immediately separate yourself from the sea of small talkers. This doesn't mean every conversation has to be profound. In fact, balance is key. A high-quality man will appreciate someone who can go from light, playful banter to meaningful soul-level dialogue with ease. That's what makes conversations with you unforgettable. They're dynamic. You can laugh about something silly, then seamlessly pivot into something real, showing that your emotional range is as broad as your intellect. Depth also shows up in the questions you ask. Are you asking questions just to fill the silence, or are you asking because you genuinely want to understand the other person's perspective? A high-quality man will notice if you're truly curious about who he is beneath the surface. When you ask, what's been the most challenging thing you've ever had to overcome, or what's one thing you've always wanted to do but haven't yet, you're opening a door to connection that small talk will never reach. And remember, depth isn't about trying to impress someone. It's not about showing off your knowledge or trying to sound wise. It's about letting your mind and heart work together in the moment, about speaking from a place of self-awareness and genuine interest. It's the difference between reciting a fact and telling a story that brings that fact to life. It's the difference between nodding politely and asking a follow-up question that makes the other person think more deeply about what they just said. If you want to be the kind of woman high-quality men notice, you need to cultivate a life that feeds your mind and soul. Read books that challenge you. Spend time in silence reflecting on your experiences. Expose yourself to different perspectives, cultures, and ideas. Practice being present when people talk. Watch their eyes, notice their body language, and listen, not to reply but to understand. Because here's the truth. Your appearance might catch someone's attention for a moment, but your conversation depth will hold it for a lifetime. A man can be impressed by beauty in seconds, but it's the way you make him think and feel during a conversation that makes him want to keep coming back. When you can combine emotional intelligence, intellectual curiosity, and authenticity, you become unforgettable. Not just to high-quality men, but to everyone you meet. Before you even speak a word, before you make any kind of deliberate impression, something unspoken is already speaking for you, your sense of identity and direction. High-quality men, the ones who have their own lives in order, who know who they are and where they're going, are not just scanning the surface. They're not merely checking to see if you look good in a dress or if you can smile politely. They're subconsciously reading something deeper, the story you carry within yourself. You see, a woman who knows who she is carries herself differently. There's a certain groundedness in her presence. She's not scrambling to please. She's not changing her personality to fit the moment or the person standing in front of her. She has a compass inside her, a deep knowing of her values, her purpose, and her standards. And that compass points her in a clear direction no matter who she meets or what situation she's in. That's what high-quality men notice first. It's easy to underestimate how much your sense of self communicates before you say a single thing. Your tone of voice, the way you stand, the confidence in your eyes, these are not just products of personality, they are signals of your identity. A woman with a strong sense of who she is doesn't have to announce it, She doesn't have to list her achievements or drop hints about her goals. Her very being makes it obvious. That's because her energy doesn't waver based on approval. She's already approved of herself. On the other hand, when you don't have a clear sense of identity, it shows. You find yourself shape-shifting around different people, mirroring their opinions, toning yourself down, or puffing yourself up depending on what you think will make you liked. You might not realize you're doing it, but others do, and high-quality men notice. They notice the inconsistencies, the little ways you're seeking validation. They can tell when you're performing instead of being, and it's not because they're judging you harshly. It's because a man who knows who he is naturally drawn to a woman who's equally anchored. Direction is the other half of this. It's not enough to know who you are. You also need to know where you're going. This doesn't mean having every step of your life planned out, but it does mean having a vision for your future. Do you have dreams that excite you? Do you have a sense of what you want to create in this life? A man who has his own mission is looking for someone who's also moving towards something. When you have direction, you bring purpose into every interaction because you're not simply drifting through conversations or relationships. You're intentional. This doesn't mean you're constantly talking about your goals or your hustle. It's in the subtleties. It's in the way you talk about your passions, the way you handle challenges, the way you invest your time and energy. It's in the way you say no to things that don't align with your path. That quiet decisiveness is magnetic. It tells a high-quality man that you're not looking for someone to complete you, you're already whole, and you're inviting someone to walk alongside you. The beauty of having a strong identity and clear direction is that it takes you out of competition. You're no longer trying to outshine other women or prove yourself worthy. You're simply being yourself, fully and unapologetically. And the right man will notice that instantly. He'll see the way you don't chase, the way you hold your boundaries, the way you remain steady in who you are regardless of external pressures. That steadiness is rare. A woman with a solid sense of identity doesn't fear losing someone because she knows she'll never lose herself. She's not afraid of walking away if something doesn't align because she knows her worth isn't up for negotiation. She can appreciate a man without attaching her self-esteem to his interests. And that is incredibly attractive to the kind of man you actually want. The man who values strength, authenticity, and depth over superficial charm. The truth is, you teach people how to treat you by how you treat yourself and how you carry your own story. If your life is a book, are you the main character or are you waiting for someone else to write the next chapter? High-quality men notice when you're in the driver's seat of your own life. They notice when you have a vision and are unapologetically pursuing it. They notice when you're grounded in your identity and refuse to abandon yourself for temporary approval. So if you want to know what truly stands out, it's not the dress, the hair, or the perfect smile. It's the unshakable presence of a woman who knows exactly who she is and exactly where she's headed. You don't have to tell him. You don't have to convince him. You just have to live it and let your identity and direction speak louder than any introduction ever could. At the end of the day, the kind of men you truly want in your life, the ones who are confident, emotionally intelligent, and high in character, are not fooled by surface-level charms. They are drawn to the essence of who you are. Your energy, your self-respect, your engagement with the world, the depth of your conversations, and your sense of identity all speak louder than your looks ever could. You can buy clothes, apply makeup, or change your hairstyle, but you cannot purchase depth, purpose, or presence. Those qualities are cultivated in the way you live, think, and treat yourself daily. So stop chasing validation from men who are blind to your worth, and instead become the kind of woman who commands respect without demanding it. Walk into every room like you belong there, because you do. Speak with conviction, not to impress, but to express who you are. Live with intention, knowing that the right people will always recognize your value without you having to perform for it. High-quality men notice women who are high quality within themselves. And the moment you stop trying to be noticed and start living in alignment with your highest self, you'll realize that the right ones were paying attention all along. The greatest magnet you can have is authenticity. Unapologetic, unshakable, and unstoppable. Carry that with you, and you'll never need to wonder who's watching, because the right ones always will.